Hello, everyone. I'm Huenu Solsona, founder of Orykl, and I'm here with Alexina Graham, who I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago, and we decided to do a little video for social, maybe mainly, to really share her story and to share her amazing other side that I don't think many people know about. So, hey, Alexina, how's it going?
Yes, I will jump straight in, I guess. I'm kind of excited and nervous to tell people about this side of me. But I have been, well, a lot of people know I've been in fashion for 17 years. I've been a model. I still am a model and I love that job and part of me. But also, 2 years ago, I also discovered a new side of me and also kind of like a purpose in my life. And that is I am a spiritual channeler. And just so everyone knows, we are talking because you vetted me.
Yeah,
And I'll let you explain a little bit about your business now so that people understand why
yeah,
we're chatting.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, we met a few weeks, maybe a couple months ago. I think you reached out to us. I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
who, yeah, you reached out to us. Okay, I remember through Peter. And yeah, so I have an online platform for vetted spiritual therapists and healers. So we take the vetting process very seriously because our intention is really to help the world, and we need to do that with people that can actually deliver on what they say that they do. And we work in the spiritual area, so different kinds of healers and therapists, and we work a lot with channelers. And I don't know who's going to explain that. You can explain it, I can explain it, but channeling is very exciting and it's something we can all do. But of course, it's something that, some of us, well, do it a little bit more differently than others, let's say. So you came to us and we had, you went through the whole application process. We vetted you. You were excellent. Honestly, we loved you from the beginning. And I actually love that you have this background because I feel like spirituality is really for absolutely everybody. And sometimes we see fashion as not very spiritual, but like the people that are in fashion can be just as spiritual as anybody else, right? So anyway, that's why we're chatting. Um, Alexina, I think it would be super cool if you told us a bit about your childhood. Like, did you grow up spiritual or not? And, where did you grow up? How was your childhood?
Yeah. So I grew up in England in a small town called Worksop, which is in Nottinghamshire. I didn't necessarily grow up spiritual. I have family who kind of knew there was something otherworldly out there. And like my great aunt is a medium, but she never really talked about it to us. We didn't really know. I only found that out maybe a few years ago. And my aunt has always had a belief in something. I actually always thought my aunt was the crazy one. I'm like, oh yeah, she goes around hugging trees and talking about the universe. Like this was me like a few years ago. I'm like, yeah, she's a bit. And she makes fun
Yeah.
of me now because now where I am in my journey. And I kind of had things as a child, like I would see spirits, but I would just call them my imaginary friends. I would like pretend. I would say like, "Don't tell mum that you're there. This is cool." And then as I grew up, that kind of went away. But I would still have like, when you say you've got a gut instinct a lot, I kind of got that a lot, but I didn't really realize what it was. Then I kind of went on just living human life. And, I got married, I got divorced, I was at the top of my career in fashion. And yeah, from there, then the journey began, which we can go a bit more into.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it, and I have to say it's quite common because I speak to a lot of channelers and like spiritual people that do this for work. It's quite common that as children, they would see things or just be very intuitive, they would just feel, and they thought it was normal. Like as a kid, you think it's normal. Obviously, it's what you grow up with that just, and it is actually a lot more normal than we make it out to be, right? But then we start shutting it down because people don't get it, or people are like, oh, that's weird, or like, that doesn't happen to me. And so slowly you go, ooh, okay, this isn't something clearly that I should be talking about. And we kind of shut down. But in some people, at least my experience with chatting to so many of you guys, you get to a point where you actually can't hold it in any longer. It's like it's so part of you. It's something that wants to come out. And whether it happens through sometimes trauma or like, like tragedy, or it's kind of like you just, like something's amiss and you're like needing for that part of you to come out. Something happened. So yeah. So what happened to you? How did that come out for you?
Yeah. So it got really like in my face when I turned 18. My grandfather died just before my 18th birthday, who I was very close to, and he would start coming to me very vividly in dreams. And I was very excited and happy, but I didn't really think anything more of just than, oh, this is cool, grandfather's still here, I can talk to him. And he would give me messages and I would tell my grandmother and she would say, how do you know that? Yes, like that's true. And I went, I don't know. Grampy came to me and told me this. And then a few other times he came to me and said, you need to call your grandmother. She doesn't feel very well. You're not reaching out enough. Like I'm being told off by him. And I reached out to her and it was exactly what he said. Like, she's like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I kind of didn't really think about anything. Like that was when I was 18. And then at 28, I kind of hit this like rock bottom moment. There's like mental health in our family. My sister went through a lot, and I kind of was trying to be there to help her. But at the same time, I wasn't regulating myself. I kind of was just like doing like, okay, I've got to do this. Let's do it. Let's help her. We got this. And also with that, I was also had past things. So I had a divorce and I hadn't healed things with members of my family who I kind of felt we weren't getting along very well. And I kind of just decided to put everything on the side and just do human life and go, go, go. And also, I was at the top of my game in fashion, and people were kind of seeing this on social media, happy and excited and fun. And, there's nothing real really on social media unless people put it out there, but it becomes a very like fake world and everyone's got a perfect life. And I was really depressed when I turned 28, 29 because I've dealt with all these things, but I hadn't dealt with it how really I needed to. And at some point, it just kind of got all on top of me. And I one day was just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't like want to be here anymore. I didn't really know how to get out of anything. And I did conventional therapy for a long time, talking therapy. I started when I was 18 and it served me really well for a long time. And then I just got to a point where it wasn't helping me anymore and I needed more. And at that moment, I got in contact with a spiritual therapist who kind of helped me through meditations. I had no idea what meditation was, by the way. I just needed something for a release. And we
Yeah.
started meditating, and then she also helped me heal a lot of traumas that I hadn't gone deep enough into with conventional therapy.
Yeah.
And from there, I kind of just got to this point where I felt healed a certain amount from things that I needed to. Of course, we all know we're never fully healed and we're always on our journey. But at that part, I had kind of, okay, I've done that. That's great. And then all of a sudden, I kind of hit rock bottom again, and I found myself crying all the time. And I never thought of myself as a sad, depressed person, and I could never understand what was going on. Like I was saying to my mom, I was just crying on the phone to her, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't even pinpoint what's wrong with me. I don't understand. And then one day I was just out running and I was crying, and it was literally 10 seconds of me not wanting to be here. And I kind of just picked this bus out and I went to step out in front of it. And I actually remember thinking as I was stood there, like, okay, your family will get over it, they'll move on, everything will be fine. And they might grieve for a while, but you're going to be happier, you're going to be out of pain, because I was feeling so much pain, which I didn't understand where it was from. And I just went for it. And then someone pulled me back and the light turned red. But it was like very quick, like insane. And I literally just sank to my knees and I couldn't believe that I was about to do that. And then from there is I started hearing consciousness, voices, and it came through my grandfather first. And a little just thing about my grandfather, which I discovered as I started channeling, is he is one of my main guides, and he was always meant to start this process for me. He was the one who was meant to come in and start the channeling process.
Wow. Wow. I mean, it's interesting what you say about your grandfather because I started Oracle now looking back because my brother passed away in 2009, and that started my process of spirituality in a completely different way. I just wanted to find out if he was okay, where he was, do we have a soul, what happens to our soul. Yesterday was 15 years that he died, so it's been a 15-year journey that took me through all kinds of really beautiful things. And today I'm doing Oracle, and I know that that was part of the agreement, with my brother.
Mhm.
Like, he started me on the journey, and like your grandfather is just helping you along. And even that incident, I don't know how you feel, and it doesn't really matter if yes or no, but like, it could have been predetermined in your life to really shock you, to like,
Yeah,
and set you on the path. So we need these, like, traumas, tragedies, whatever, right? So,
yeah.
okay, so then this happened, and now you consciously decide that you're gonna look into this, or what?
Yeah, then I consciously decide to like meditate harder and just understand a little bit what's happening. It
Yeah,
started very soft at the first, and it would just come to me and show me love and give me a few messages here and there. And
yeah,
then I found myself picking up like channeling books, like how, and to find out more, like the Brian Weiss books and Same
yeah,
Soul, Many Lives, or I don't remember the exact title. And as I was picking these books up, I was feeling energy from them, and it felt good. And I was like, "Oh, what is that? Like, why am I feeling such a like high magnitude to this thing?" And
right,
then as I was doing meditation with a meditation teacher, I was starting to get colors, and I thought that was really cool, and everything started enticing me more. And then I would
right,
start with visions. And then I remember I had two specific visions, and I was like, no. And I had them written down in a meditation book from 2 years ago. And the first one was, they showed me my best friend pregnant, but she wasn't expecting a child. She wasn't even in the realm of thinking of having a child. And they
right.
showed me an apartment, which I didn't recognize. A year later, she was pregnant, and the apartment that I saw was her new apartment that she was now in. And I literally got in there, and I was like, this was the exact apartment in my vision. This is like crazy. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is real. And then I had
Okay.
another vision a few weeks later, and it was before the Ukraine and Russian war broke out. And I was in meditation, and 3 days before that happened, the war that happened, I got a vision of three men with guns over their shoulders, and like a house garage was going up, and they were like preparing to fight. Like they were like probably young kids, but they were like ready to go. And I got just Ukraine, and I was like, oh, okay. Not thinking anything of it because I don't know about you, but I don't watch the news. I've not since the
Yeah.
pandemic. I just kind of stopped that. So I
Yeah.
didn't really know what was happening. And then 3 days later, sorry, this happened, and I was like, oh, like, and things started coming more and more like that.
Right. Right.
And then I got down in meditation one night, and I'm going to say they, the
Yeah.
universe, the guide,
Yeah.
they said to me, you need to stay in it. And it felt really good. And I found myself like moving a lot. And
Mhm.
thankfully, I understood what this was because I was reading a lot of books, especially one by Robin Jekyll, I think her name is. And she writes in her book like how she was doing these crazy movements. So I wasn't scared. This
Right.
happened for 3 hours. I was in this meditation for 3 hours, and I literally couldn't get out, but it was so pleasurable, and it didn't seem like
Mhm.
3 hours, it seemed like 20 minutes. I got
Right.
out and I went to bed, and I went to pick up my phone to tell my mum and my aunt what had just happened. And they said to me, don't say anything. You need to keep this with you. This is a personal thing right now. You can share it when the time is right. I was like, okay, didn't think anything of it. And all I can explain it as, it's like conscious thoughts, but they're not your thoughts.
Yeah.
Um, and the next morning, I woke up, not even registering what happened the night before. And I opened the blinds, and all I can say, it was like I was on like some sort of high mushroom or something, and everything was amazing and beautiful. And I was seeing the world for the first time again. I went
Wow.
for a walk, and I met a friend, and I started crying. I didn't tell her why, but I was like, I love you so much. And I bet she
Yeah.
thought I was a nutter. And
Yeah.
then I realized I had no inner thoughts. I was literally walking around and I was counting because I guess I was so used to having inner thoughts. I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then I stopped and I went, what am I doing? And as I stopped, I realized I was literally just looking at life like a movie. I had no judgment and anything. It was just empty in there. And that
Yeah.
was like really beautiful. And I guess that was my spiritual awakening when that happened.
Mm. Wow. That's amazing. That's really cool. Okay, so when was that? When did that happen?
That was in 2023, just in
20,
April 2023.
okay.
And
And then yes, and then what happened? Because I know you also do
I,
this for people. I mean, you channel for people. Obviously, you channel for yourself. So yeah, how did you transition and where are you now? How do you see your future? There's many questions here, so answer as you will.
yeah.
And like, how do you see your future, now that you do this? Because I suppose it must also feel very purposeful, like you actually said that before. This is a very deep, something's quite deep and personal and beautiful, so it's quite special, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think that I would ever bring it to the public just because of who I am in my fashion career, and I was very nervous to bring this side of me out.
Yeah.
Every day I channeled with my aunt. She's been my sounding board.
Mm.
I'm very lucky. My family all have a true belief in me. They all kind of understand the spiritual world. There's healers in our family, so we all have an understanding of it. So I was never scared not to tell us, my aunt, my mum, and my sister. They always, understood it.
Yeah.
So I was with her and I was channeling every day, just trying to get a better hold of it and what was happening. And like the energies that come in, I know you know the name, but when you totally remove yourself and they come in and they are them, I'm not me. Is it trans channeling?
Yes, that's it. It's
Okay, so
transgender.
this happens a lot.
Yeah.
So my aunt was helping me like get the energy under control as they came in. Like my voice
Yeah.
changes, my actions change. I'm not me. You can tell I'm not me when I channel.
Yeah.
And then about that happened in April. Then I was with my aunt just training one on one. And then in June I heard about Peter, who is he like helps people understand if they can be channelers or not.
Mm.
And he will work with you to kind of make it like more what is it, more in your body, you'll be able
Yeah.
to channel easier. So I worked
Mm.
with him for about 2 months, and he was like, on the first session, he was like, "It's like you've been doing this for years." I was like, "This
Yeah.
is crazy." It's like, "There's no way that you've just started this." And I was like, "I think it's always been there, but I just never tapped into it."
Yeah.
And then from there, he said to me he said to the being who came in he was like, "Is she going to bring this to the public?" And he was
Mm.
like, "Yes, for sure." And I was going, "No, no,
You're
no,
like,
I'm
no.
not. No." And they were like, "She will, but she's not ready yet." It's like the training process and her feeling confident. And also, like, for me, I've been skeptical all my life. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, we're all
I've
skeptical.
always knew,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
knew something, but I was like, okay, what is there? Like.
Yeah.
And so I think as I was practicing on other people as well, like my aunt started getting me like friends of hers, and my mum would get friends, and I would do it on my family. And things would come up from the past that I didn't know about, and it'd be like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, how do you know that? And then, like,
Mm.
especially people that I don't know, so friends of friends, and I would practice on them. I was
Yeah.
very shocked at how much I knew personally about them. Well, not that I know,
Mm.
but their higher self came through to talk to them and told them things very personal that I would have no idea about. And this kind of put
Yeah.
my belief and my trust in the process. And then
Right.
from there, Peter was like, I've got Orykl, and would you like to be on their platform? And I said, oh, I was very nervous, and I reached out to you at the beginning, and then I kind of like got so nervous
And
that I
then you
didn't speak to you
didn't.
for 3 months.
That's right. That's right. You reached to us, and then you went silent. And I remember thinking, that's cool. Like, actually, now that I think about it, it's so funny. I remember thinking, that's cool. She'll come around. I thought she's
Yeah.
not ready. That's cool. That's fine.
No.
She'll come around. I know she'll come around. And like literally a few months later, you're like, yeah, guys, I think I'm ready. We're like,
Yeah.
cool.
I
If you're
really
ready,
freaked out.
we're ready. Like whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I freaked out. Like, I did the initial thing, and then I was like, when you said you have to channel for us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to channel for them.
But,
And
but I tell
then
you what, you know, and I don't want to say that one must not practice because that's 100%. I mean, the more we are aligned and centered and practice, like the better. But it doesn't mean that somebody who's been channeling for 10 years is any better, okay, than somebody who's been channeling for 10 months, because I've seen it 100%. Sometimes I tell you what, you know, when you have been channeling a lot, it's all about how much of you gets in the communication, you know, how clear you can be, or how clear you can't be, because everybody tries to be a clear channel, right? And whether you can or can't very often has to do with our own stuff that we're going through. So when we are going through difficult times, it's just very hard to be very open, because it's a very loving, you got to be very accepting of everything, you know, and also your mind's worried, you know, about whatever it is that you're worried about. And so it's not so easy. So it's more about that, I find. It's more about how aligned can you be. And usually, to be honest, the best channelers, not this channel, their lives are pretty good. And when their lives are not so great, that's when it's, you know, so if you're in a good space, I think that's like the most important. How good a space are you in? How aligned, how centered, how clear and clean, and that could be. And I'm sure there's many channelers out there who are channeling who maybe don't even know. But if I may, you said something that I think might scare some people, because some people think that, oh, who's speaking through you? You're possessed, you know, like, can you explain this? And also maybe to put people at ease, because I know it's a very loving, beautiful experience. And, you know, can you be possessed? Or how does this work to your knowledge?
So with me, I go in with an open mantra, prayer, whatever you want to say. And depending if there's a client in front of me or if it's me, I'll go in with my full name for my own journey or the client's full name for their journey. And then I ask for a being of divine love and light only to come through. And then I ask Archangel Michael to make sure it is only a being of divine love and light and be there. And that is, I kind of, so for me, I get the trance channeling, I get visions, I get images, I hear, I feel energy, and I see. And when I go in, I see the swords being put up to make sure no dark energy comes in, because yes, there is dark energy out there too. And also I have mediumship that comes in. I don't call myself a medium because I don't like to call in those that have passed. They will only come in if they are a guide to help the person in front of me on their healing journey.
Yeah. And just to explain, because not everybody knows this, a medium is somebody who connects specifically with a deceased loved one. So that's the
Yes.
difference between a medium and a channeler, amongst a few other things. But yes. Okay.
Yeah. And when I'm channeling, I literally feel love and light energy. And it's just, I check my ego a lot because I am very conscious of I'm not giving the information, but that information coming through me to somebody else is very personal, it's very deep, and it can affect somebody. So I am very conscious of my ego. So especially if I know somebody personally and I'm channeling for them, I will ask Spirit 3 times to show it me in a different way. I won't just say it straight away with how it comes through. I will be like, okay, well, I know that about them, so show me 2 other times in a different way how that can come through. And then once that comes through in a different way, then I will tell them. And when I go into it, I know when I'm connected to them because first of all, my face goes numb and my hand goes numb. So I know spirit are there and ready to come forward. And then as I go in, I imagine the white light through me, and then I start getting like energy through my heart. And then it's like the top of my head isn't connected to my body anymore. It's not horrible, it's very nice, but it's like I'm not there. And they come in many different ways. It depends on the person in front of me and how they can accept it, because some people, it might freak them out to be able to just go straight into trance and I'm talking as a family member or a different being. They might like freak out. A lot of the time, especially people who are not too sure about the spiritual side, they come through me as images and energy fields. So I will explain what I'm feeling, who is there, what I'm seeing, and that helps them a lot. I think I've only mainly channeled with one client because they feel comfortable doing that and they trust in it. And my aunt, I channel with her in trance first person all the time. But it's very beautiful energy. And after I finish the session, I will shut down the energy and bring myself back in again, because that's very important too, that you don't have open energy to anyone that can come. And I then thank them, I bring myself back in. And then after a session, I'm always feeling really like high and happy. It's not depleted for me. And I've heard of a lot
Yeah.
of channelers who kind of feel depleted after. And I don't get that. I'm like, I've made this decision now not to channel after 6 p.m. because then I'm awake till 1 a.m. in the morning. Because I'm so like high on like what's just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's been my experience, that usually they just are very like energized. Okay, but and so now you do these one-on-one channeling sessions with people. So what can people ask? I mean, what do they get out of? Why would they have a channeling session?
So for me, it's all about healing, and it's kind of funny. I've only just kind of put it together now with the mental health background that I have, like the personal being in the mental health, like through. So my uncle's committed suicide. There's been mental health in our family, my own issues with mental health, and it's now coming to channeling work. And it now is all making sense why certain things have happened in my life, and now that I'm doing
Right,
this work. So a lot of
of
people come
course.
with me for inner child healings. Like they're stuck in their life. They don't know where to go. You know, talking therapy has got them so far, but they're not feeling fulfilled by anything. So they'll come to me and I will ask my client not to talk for the first 15 minutes because of my own skepticism when I was younger. And they literally come in and they just talk, and they will explain what their blockages are, where their healings need to happen. Sometimes it might not be from this life, it must be from a past life, but they brought it into this life, and there's like aches and pains. They'll show me aches and pains and why they're there. And it's literally a really deep healing. And it's really beautiful to see because they also give them tools to help the healing. It's not just like you've got this wrong with you, whatever. They give
Right.
tools as well, like okay, we need to do this to remove this blockage to get on the next part of the path. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's really all about deep inner healing that you don't really realize you need.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And honestly, I mean, I've been on the receiving end of channeling sessions and just like what I like to call spiritual therapy, which is really all of it is really understanding who we are and understanding our divine part of us and just learning that we can actually do it all ourselves. I mean, but anyway, so that's what I like to teach with Orykl. That's why I've selected these very specific modalities in spirituality because they're all very empowering to the individual. And it really boils down to understanding ourselves. Um, and
Mhm.
I love
And
these
loving
messages.
yourself.
Yeah, and all parts of yourself. You know, when you talk about past lives, when you talk about things that, like you say, I mean, and nothing for conventional therapy, because I'm all for conventional therapy, but you're absolutely right. There comes a point where, how do you go into a past life, you know, in conventional therapy? How do you go into your ancestral lineage? How do you go into some memories that you just can't remember? But also, like, how do you go into the reasons for that happening in your life? So, from the perspective of your higher self, because there are certain obstacles that were put in your way for you to learn something and to grow and expand as a result of that. And when we have that understanding and that knowledge, and we go, oh, okay, I see how that served me, and I see why I went through that. It's very healing in itself because you
Yeah.
know, you give credit. You don't you stop blaming that bad thing, and you say, well, thank you for teaching me that. And I know how also it can help with just energetically, you know, to move things around as well, because it's like a teaching and a healing, right, at the same time. So it's really beautiful. I mean, you know, as you can see, I'm already a convertee, but yeah, I would like to bring more of this into the world, um, and
Yeah.
through people
I
that are like the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I have just two things. I think it's very important that people know that yes, we help you and in all modalities, in sound baths, in Akashic record reading, in channeling, but it's literally them who are doing the work. We're just opening the space for them to heal.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
helping that healing coming out. We're not actually healing them or the person in
Yes.
front of us. They're healing themselves, but we're unlocking that for them able to heal themselves.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, I think this was an amazing chat. I mean, is there anything else that you would like to say to anyone out there about yourself or channeling or anything else?
Yeah, I was going to say the second thing is that I'm not one of those people who now totally hates the human side and living on the world. And I'm not, like you get that, oh, I'm spiritual. And I love human life. I love being human and I love fashion and I love my job in fashion. But I also love this new side that's come out and helping myself as well and my family. And it's given me kind of this purpose of happiness that I was missing that I didn't realize. But I always explain to people that I still love human side. I still love fashion. I still love what I do. And if I can implement this into that as well, then I'm super happy. But yeah.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. I'm actually so glad you said that. And I think that's a beautiful way to close this off. So, yeah, thank you so much for this
Oh,
awesome
thank
chat, for
you.
being on Orykl, and thank you for telling us all about your amazing, beautiful story.